advice for people listening right now, like getting rid of a barbell for most people, most of the time would probably be a great idea. There's nothing wrong with a barbell. It's not a bad piece of equipment. And if you like to squat or you like to bench, like if there's a particular thing you really love to do, then and you're doing it correctly and you feel good about it, then by all means you should probably continue onward. But if you feel like tight and you're kind of banged up, you're kind of injured, you're not feeling great, and you just want a little bit more mobility and just want to move and feel a little bit better, just switch to trying to doing things one arm at a time. One leg at a time. The kind of bilateral movements.
Right.
It can really change a lot of things for you. Like just that one simple thing, rather than going in and being like, I'm going to squat and you're going to squat heavy and you're going to put the weight on your back and all that kind of stuff. Maybe you're like, I'm going to do walking lunges and I'm going to, do them until my legs, burn like crazy. Bulgarian split squats, step ups. Like there's a lot of other movements you can do. And then if you still want to, train both legs at the same time, I mean, I'm sure you can mix in a couple of other things. But I think a lot of times we just get one dimensional. And what I've always said about a barbell is a barbell, provides a crazy amount of value because of the amount of weight you can use on a barbell. If you try to use an equivalent amount of weight with dumbbells, it's really hard. Like a 300-pound bench press is a really nice bench press. But for someone to try to handle 150-pound dumbbells, that's a really good feat of strength. For somebody to handle 150-pound dumbbells means they've been in the gym forever. But there's a lot of guys that bench around 300, even to take 200, and then to have 100-pound dumbbells in each hand is like a totally different thing. Or even think of a 200-pound loaded barbell versus a 200-pound dumbbell, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like
night and day.
Yeah, they're a world of different. They couldn't be any more different.
Right. Totally.
The barbell, it does allow you to overload the body, so it allows you to overload the spine, and those are some really good things that you can do, because it can be important for some people that are looking for some of the impact of like bone density and having thicker and stronger bones. So it does have some application. It's just that I think we get a little too obsessive with it. I also think we get a little too obsessive with, like having this like arch posture and being super stiff and only doing both arms at the same time. If you just change it up a little bit and you pull with one arm, well, now your body had to like twist. Yeah. And there's some rotation in there. So it's like, it's a really simple thing to solve or cure. And again, I'm not saying like eliminate barbells forever for everybody, but for most people, you should probably just do a lot less barbell, do more dumbbell, and even take things a step further and even work on some body weight exercises.
Yeah.
They're tough.
There's something about pull-ups that is just like, I can't describe what it is, but it's like, I know it's not a ton of weight. It's only your body weight, but something about it is just so taxing and so brutal. And I get like such a pump from doing basic body weight stuff like pull-ups and push-ups, like almost sometimes more than lifting more weight than that. You know what I mean?
Some things to consider, like, again, kind of back to the steroid thing a little bit. If somebody takes anabolics, somebody takes steroids, they're going to gain more weight. They're going to have more muscle mass on them than somebody naturally, right? If somebody, even a natural person decides to go to the gym and they start to lift a bunch of weight, they're going to have a lot more body weight on them than what we would have otherwise had on us hundreds of years ago. Naturally, especially if they're like specifically doing bodybuilding the way that like Dom does bodybuilding, right?
Right.
It might not be a profound, crazy amount of weight that you have on you, but it could be 20 extra pounds, 30 extra pounds, whatever it might be. And so when people talk about like being natural, I think the act of like lifting all the time, whether you're bodybuilding or powerlifting or Olympic lifting, isn't very natural. Because like I don't think we'd have ever gotten that big. Like people having big legs, like people always love like when someone's got like big legs. I've always thought it was kind of stupid.
Really?
I like having muscular legs and calves and stuff. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, go try a 400 meter.
Right.
Go to the track, try 400 meters, and see how those legs work for you. Like they're just too heavy. They're too heavy to lug around. So these are just all things I like to think about them. I like to do like, I'm not saying that this is bad and that it's dumb to be big and jacked. I still love it. I'll always love it. But it's good to like just reconsider. reconsider some of these things. What is your body capable of doing? Like, are you capable of just doing like basic stuff? Can you jump? Can you sprint? I don't know. If you can't, I don't think that's great. Doesn't make any sense. You work out all the time. You can't jump or sprint. Like, it's stupid.
Yeah. Some of my favorite things, like one of the best things I ever learned was when I had like 5 years ago, when I had this like sciatica thing in my back, I learned like all about the movements of like the hips and the shoulder blades, especially, and like learning to keep your posture better, like to protect your spine, like rotating the shoulder blades in and like having the shoulders back, and then using and like having different area, like different tilt positions of your hips and your pelvis when you're doing these lifts. And that like changed everything for me.
It's huge. Having good posture is incredible. And lifting can sort of can help force someone into having better posture, but lifting too much can force somebody to have worse posture. Somebody who's got like winged shoulders, or someone who has their shoulders like really internally rotated forward, and they go in and they hammer out like a lot of bench pressing and stuff like that, their shoulders are just going to kind of continue to creep forward. And then if you're at your computer all the time, kind of combination of things, looking down at your phone and so on, it's just going to sort of want to shift your head forward, and it's going to sort of just over time, put you in some bad positions. But what I'm trying to explain, and what I think what they're doing at Functional Patterns, is they're trying to say,
functional patterns.
We know that you can move your body into like these weird ways and have your body sort of almost like misshapen from heavy lifting.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know what you're doing, you can lift really heavy and you can build a great body that looks symmetrical. Like there's tons of people. Arnold is a great example. There's a lot of people who've done it over the years, but you have to like know a lot to be able to do that. And what I think is interesting is that you can also just take some of that, some of the knowledge that we know, that you can force yourself into these bad positions and look sort of awkward from like overlifting. You have that, the lat syndrome thing going on and stuff like that.
What's the lat syndrome?
Where imaginary lat syndrome, where someone's like kind of posturing up and they're just kind of like walk like, hey, what's going on? And it's like super stuck and super stiff, and people just moving around like they have a stiff neck. You wake up with a stiff neck one day and someone calls your name and you can't move worth a shit. Yeah. I think we take some of those same principles and just understand that we can unwind a lot of that. Some of the stuff I showed you today. Yeah. You don't have bad posture, but over time you can solidify your postures in positions that otherwise you might be compromised. Like, I've never seen you swing a golf club or haven't seen you surf, but there could be like little small things that you're doing, or do jujitsu. There could be little small things that you're doing or something slightly off that is, leading to some stress in your lower back and things like that. And if you strengthen it in the gym and you strengthen it the right way, like I just don't think like deadlifts and the 45-degree back raise is really going to like do it. You know what I mean? Like, think about how different jujitsu is than like a deadlift. Yeah. Like, they're not, and I'm not saying like the only way to get better is to like do the sport. But what I would say is like, what you're doing currently isn't going to work the way that you think. However, you could still pick heavy shit up off the ground and have it have massive benefits. So what some people might try to do is they'll say, okay, well, all right, maybe like the regular deadlift bar is not for me. That kind of bothers my back, so I'll use a trap bar. And it sounds fair. Okay, it's a less range of motion. You're able to be in better posture for the lift. Might not be a bad idea to explore some of that. But it would be even better to explore lifting a heavy sandbag. Right. Because now you're
asymmetrical shit.
Yeah, now your spine has to like your spine has to open up, and your spine has to round over. You were just mentioning some of the things you did for like PT, and you were learning to move your spine around. Yeah. You have to, like, for me, I took like pride in this because this was my sport. And to squat 1,080, you have to have a really rigid spine.
Jesus Christ! So squat 1,080,
1,080 deadlift, or 1,080 squat, and a 766 deadlift, and 854-pound bench.
God damn! Didn't you drop that much at one point too? Some chick in a skirt walked in front of you or something.
1,085. Yeah, that didn't help things either. But that I created this like rigidness in my spine to where, if I just like bend down towards the ground, and even if I can touch the ground, but if I'm touching the ground, my lower back will still be flat. Like my all the other spine will move, but the lower back it stays like super stiff and super tight.
So like you can't hip hinge, like hinge your hip. Where
I can hip hinge like a mofo,
Okay.
but I can't like unlock my lower back to really round all the way over to the ground.
Oh, interesting.
So like I can move like almost maybe like 3/4 of my spine, but that last part towards the bottom
Right.
doesn't want to go anywhere. And that was created through bracing, through, we'd say big air in powerlifting. You say big air, you push your stomach out against your lifting belt and you just hold this posture. I mean, I remember when I did squat 1,080, I remember, or just squatting over 1,000 pounds many times in training and many times in competition. I remember standing with that weight and I was like, I'm not going to fucking move from this position no matter what. All I'm going to do is open up my hips and bend my knees.
Yeah.
But this upright posture I have right here, nothing's going to move. And I was able to accomplish that because I built up a ton of strength through doing exercises like good mornings and deadlifts and stiff leg deadlifts and bent over rows, but all of them with a very straight spine.
Right.
And sometimes the spine would go from straight to maybe just like a little bit of like almost like neutral-ish, maybe slight bend, but everything was almost always straight. More recently, I started getting into like picking up sandbags and picking up stones and rocks and shit like that.
Yeah.
And now my back, at first, it was very taxing for me. At first, it was very hard. I had to start with like 60 pounds, 80 pounds. I just start really light. I'm like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. I'm so weak at this. And it's not like I couldn't manhandle the other ones, couldn't lift them at all. It was that every time I'd lifted them, I felt like I was going to get hurt. And it's because my lower back wouldn't round. But if you can get your lower back to round, you think about jujitsu, someone's trying to stack you or you're trying these different movements, they can't do shit to you if your spine can really move.
Right.
It's obviously not just your spine, but if your spine can move better, it's going to be harder for them to pass your guard. It's going to be easier for you to pass theirs, and so on, because your hips and your lower back can get unlocked. And so I would suggest for people listening to, try some of these things. Maybe just like instead of the barbell, grab some dumbbells for a little while. Move those around one at a time so your body's twisting and moving instead of like your regular deadlifts, or maybe replace some of your deadlifts with picking up like a heavy sandbag or something.
Yeah.
Try some different shit.